Well, good afternoon, everybody. Here we are, Tuesday, the 16th of January, already halfway through the first month of the new year. And here we are on tile number 408. So I've opted today for a white tile, purely because I've not done anything on it, because I know a few of you asked about using the watercolour pencils. So I'm going to use a little bit of that today, and I thought it'd be nice to have it purely on a white tile so you can see where this is going. I've also got my regular pen pencil Tortillon. I've got my brush pen as well here, because I want to be filling a little bit of it in with some black ink. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to bring in a bit of a border. I'm not going to go too close to the edge today. I'm going to sort of give myself a little bit of a space there. So here we go. Let's put this one in. One there. And down there. I'm going to take that. Hi, everybody. And let's put one in here. So Dobby's calmed down a little bit from yesterday. We had a few issues with him. But he's all right. He was not... we didn't beat him to death after he set all our technical things. I have actually promised that I will take him to wave, so he can wave Pauline off if he behaves. So John's still trying to sort a few little bits out, but I think mostly it's done. I just don't think they can actually pick up any of the orders still off the website, but it's getting there. So please, just a little bit of patience if you've put an order in. And of course, classes are on there now as well, so they're as promised, they're there too. Okay, at least I can see the website now. That was we couldn't even see the website yesterday. But here we go, a bit of a border, and I've done a double border. And I'm going to come in with my pencil, because what I want to do is put a bit of an oval in here. I don't want it to be too small. I mean, I have actually got my little ruler with a shape on as an oval, but that's a little bit smaller than I want it to be. So I'm going to go a little bit bigger. And I know that there are some parcels getting through from the ones that appear to be missing from Yodel. So please contact Hobby Maker and ask them for an update. Or if you think you've had enough of that, which I understand, if you want to ask them if they'll refund and cancel your order, then well, refund, I say cancel, it's been sent out. But I will actually honour the Christmas Day prices if you still want your products. And I don't want you to worry about your badge, because it's valid for 6 months. I think it's the end of June. We did check actually on Sunday on the code on the back. So it is still valid. You won't miss out on that, because it's not just January. It does extend a little bit further on. So we're okay with that. Okay. So I'm coming in, I'm going to put like a little half moon in there. Okay, that starts me off, and I'm going to switch back to pencil, and I'm going to put a shape around the outside of it. So of course I can't get all the way around maybe here, because it's going into that border, and I've chosen today to stay within it, so that's fine. And then let's put this one around here. So I'm going to do a few of these and see how many I can get in there. And then let's do another. See, I'm only going to get that side of it now. All right, 1, 2, 3 there. And oh, hello, somebody's checked into the live tile for the first time. I missed your name because I was drawing. Hello and welcome. This is you know, we're here, we're all happy to go with this. You don't have to listen to me, you can mute me if you like. Okay, so there we go. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, plus like the little bits in the corners. And I'm going to split up my space as I usually would. So half it, I say half the oval. Remember that this is here, but you can't see it. And same again, I'm going to go across all of that to there. And then let's have a look middle-ish. Let's go up there. And I can do the same there, look. Split that one in 2 and that one. And then again, I'm going to split that one. And that one. Oh, more, and it could, couldn't it? It could be an illusion tile. We like those though, don't we? We need to do some more of those. They're really cool. All right, that gives me like my little bit of construction. So before I come in and draw anything else, I'm going to come in with my brush pen and fill in this section here. Now I'm not going to use my 03 for that because it's quite a space to fill. And the 05, great, you can use that if you've got it. But I just find that this doesn't give me any lines. And I can get like a full sort of evenly spaced, or evenly spaced, even kind of effect on there. I'm going to come in a bit more there. Okay. So that's that bit sorted. Oh, Alison, I'm just going to check the date. I'm sure I've got the haul booked for the first Saturday in June. So as soon as I confirm that, I'll put it on. Okay. Just wanted to double check. I didn't want to put it out and it'd be the wrong date. And then everybody book and find it's not. But it is booked, so it's going ahead. Okay, so here we go. I'm putting little curves. And Rose, he's sort of come to terms with it. He's very sorry for causing a mess, and there's still a couple of issues. I don't think at HQ they can actually see the website still. Although I know you guys can, and I can here at home, but none of the computers at the office can. So they're doing their best. So I say if you have ordered anything from our website, it might be just a little bit later than you'd usually expect it because we're just getting all that sorted. We'll get there. Okay. So little bumps all the way around. I've filled each of those sections in. And I'm going to remember this little half moon. I'm going to do the same sort of thing on those as well. So I'm going to draw them all in first. And then I can come back and fill them in after. Oh, do you think so, Maureen? I don't know if small children would be able to read it, though. I think some of the things he's got up to, he's a bit crazy, that elf. He's at home with me today. He's sulking. Didn't want to go in the office. I'm not sure if he is actually speaking to Pauline at the minute, but I'm sure he'll come round. I think, yeah, Pauline will offer him a bit of a lemon drizzle cake and he'll be smitten again. So, all right, filling those little lines in there, see? So I'm doing the sort of the smaller bits this time, not the wider piece. But it's nice to sort of switch things up a bit, isn't it? And of course, I would never want you to think I'm predictable. Alright, so I'm taking just a little bit more care over using that brush to fill in those sections there. Just want to make sure that they're in. And because we've got that nice point on it, I can actually get into those little areas. And this one. Okay. That's our first little bit. So I'm going to put that one away now. I'm going to come back in with my regular pen. Let's just zoom out a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to start sort of here because this has got plenty of space that I can work in. And I sort of know where I'm going with it. So let's have a look. I'm going to go from, let's have a look from this point here. And I'm going to go across two of those spaces to create a line. And then same this side, two of the spaces, create a line. I've not gone into this bit yet, but for now I'm sticking in those shapes. You see? Now they're going to be slightly different as you work your way around because of course we've got this kind of oval that's making it look a little bit unusual, and we're only going to get a little bit of it there, see? Put them there. And so then this one now, we sort of know what we're doing, so I can do the bottom section of those little shapes. It gives me that kind of a thing. Okay, so I'm going to come back to these now they've dried off a little bit, and I'm going to put a little line inside each one, just following the shape that's there. Working my way around. Just adds a little bit of extra detail to it, doesn't it? Gives it that little bit of interest. And along we go. Just going to keep this going as I work my way around to that one. And this one. So I'm going to do all this drawing first in pen. I'm going to then get rid of the pencil lines because I'm going to use the watercolours today to give you a bit of an idea. Okay. So this little line here now, I'm going to bring it this way and I'm going to start in the middle, putting a line in. And then I'm going to draw my lines. Now as I work my way round, it's going to slightly curve with that curve. You see, if you move your tile, it's a little bit easier. It's going to help to give it that shape there. Benji's sat right next to my feet here, and Seth the other side on his little quilt. Although I do have a bag on the quilt as well, and he's most put out, and he's making a big thing of the fact that he can't get on it because I've got my bag on it. Oh, Glenys, that'd be so funny. You'd be in the book as well. I think Dobby has made advances to you, so, you know, be careful what you wish for. Oh, he's funny. Okay, let's have a look at these lines then here. I'm going to come in now and I'm going to draw down this one. And then I'm going to put 2 in each side if I can. If you can't, just put 1, or if you can get more, put more. So let's do these ones, and it's just nice to get to grips with the full shape first before starting to work on the part shapes. So we now see we're coming down here. So if I work backwards, getting 2 in there, and 2 in there, gives me a better idea, doesn't it? Afternoon, Ree. Doing okay? It's not a bad day, is it? I know. Who's got snow then? We've been threatened with it this week, haven't we? Must admit though, we're very lucky over here. We don't tend to get much, which is lovely. Don't like snow, never had. It's just cold and wet, don't like it. Don't think it even looks nice, honestly. I just want it gone and out of the way as soon as possible. All right, I'm gonna extend those lines. We'll just do that one, see, just into there because we've got to sort of acknowledge that there's a space. Glenys, I know. You do have to be careful with him. He can be a bit of a minx, can our Dobby? Okay, so far we've got this. Looks good, doesn't it? That can disappear into there. All right. So what about these little spaces in between now? I think what I'm going to do to start with, where we've got this first curve, I'm going to come in and put a curve. I'm going to put 2 actually. And then same on this one. So I'm coming off on both sides, but I'm touching that top line as I come round. Okay. So this one here, I'm just going to get a little bit in there. I'm not going to worry too much about how it's going off. And then I'm going to get a little bit of one in here too. Okay. Let's put a little bit of a bobble in there. Just on those lines. And that one. You know, if you think you need to change them a bit to put them more central, you can do that. Okay, there we are. So let's have a look around this sort of top section now. I'm going to come in on the line with a bit of a petal there. Always in the middle first. And then work my way down one side and then the other. Oh, Lindsay, gosh. -6. It was cold last night, wasn't it? And at the minute we've got like 3 quilts lying around. I've recently put my hearts quilt, you know, this the Scandi pattern, but I've done it in blues. And that's actually on the sofa. That went on last night, and our little Benji has decided he kind of likes it. So he's been snuggled up in the corner this morning on that. Yeah, he does look cute in it. Okay, so far we've got these rows. We've got one more and a little bit around there. So what to do with this one? It's always a tricky thing, isn't it? Because if you're not careful, you can end up putting too much of the same thing in. So I think I'm going to come in. This is where, like, your Dobby's Dodgy Adventures. This is where your Tangly Trails would come in. So if you were to do this again, you could roll the dice and then see what happened. And then you create completely different shapes and patterns. You could even try it with this, with a square or with a circle. Rose, I'm going to use them today. So, yeah. Strap yourself in. We're going to use the watercolour pencils. This is why I thought we'd have some nice sort of shapes to give us a little bit of a head start. So, okay, so you can see what we're doing here. Look, I'm going around the bubble and to the corners each time. Around the bubble and to the corners. And I'm keeping that sort of shape or that curve the same. Oh, I like this one, Marie. It just rolls off, doesn't it? And it always looks lovely. All right, so you've got this one hiding behind, see, and then this one on the top. Let's have a look. We've just got this little bit on the edge here. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some bubbles in, but I'm going to do them quite large. See? And I'm going to come over this shape here. So I'm going to treat it all as one section. Let's put like a part 1 in there. So it fills the space up nicely, and again gives us something that we could add a little bit of colour on. That we can actually see what's going on. Fill those little gaps with bubbles. And the same around here. Just takes a little bit of focus, that, because you feel like that shape's going to continue on. And then all of a sudden we're putting bubbles in all over the place. You see, I'm going in and filling in some large ones where I can. And then I can go back and fill in any little gaps we've got there. So it sort of looks random for want of the same thing. Okay. So any little gaps, on this occasion I'm going to fill in with a little bit of ink so we can, you know, define those bubbles a little bit clearer. Oh, could you imagine, Rose, Pauline Wheeler and Dobby going abroad on one of those TV programmes? Oh, good grief. They wouldn't be able to show half of it, I'm sure. All right, just need to get my rubber there. So let's remove some of these lines. Now, always remember, these pens can be really juicy, so you want to make sure it's dry before you rub out any of those pencil lines. I'm not going to go anywhere near that centerpiece where I've filled it with ink, but luckily, don't need to. This is why I did it quite early on. Okay, so we've got a real nice sort of piece here, okay? Now, if we were to colour this with regular pencils, we would be going in light, mid and dark colours, and we'd be filling it all in with a white highlight. Now, our white highlight on this instance is going to be our water in the brush. So I think a common mistake that people do if they've not used watercolour before is they try and colour the whole thing in. So that's sort of the first sort of thing to think about, is you're not going to be trying to colour everything in here. We want the water to have some space, okay? So what do I have here? Okay, we've got number 19. And the first thing I'm going to do is add some here, just like you would with a regular pencil. I'm not going to press on too much. going to let it just sit there. Okay, all the way around, same sort of thing. So, you know, in terms of pressure, again, I'm not using a lot of pressure. Same sort of thing as we would normally do, but you see I've got a little bit. And I can bring another colour in. So here we go, look, number 34 there. And I add a little bit on the top, just over the top of it. So not really being particularly neat. It's all about adding a little bit in. You see, just sort of blending on the top. So again, not putting any pressure on. And this is a similar thing we've done before. You see, I'm trying not to fill the whole space in. Okay. So that's with a couple of colours. You could do it with one, but you could, a couple's fine. So, okay, paintbrush wise, I'm working with a number 6 paintbrush, so it's not very big. For things like this, you only want a small brush. Because it's not traveling too far. So here's my water. I'm just going to move up a little bit. All right. So it's nice clean water. All right, nothing in it. And I haven't got a paper towel or anything because I like to actually use my hand so I can gauge how much water is on it. So for example, here we go. If I get loads of water, you see there's loads. Look how much is on there. You've got a bit of a drip coming. That's way too wet, way too wet. So if I just tap it off a little bit and use the side of my hand, you can see I've got as long as I've got can you see that? See scarlet where I cut myself on a chisel. Yeah, you can sort of see a little bit of water there. But it's not dripping, okay? So if I come in now and what I'm going to do is apply the water to these two here. You see, so they're going over. And then whilst it's still wet, go back in with clean water. And you see this line here? I'm going to touch the edge of it so it works its way into the water. Okay? Go in and add a little. Again, you don't want to be adding a load. So same again, like add a little bit to it. Go back in, clean water, and allow it to move into that space. Always go back in and help it a little bit if you need to. Okay, dab it in. So I could perhaps do 2 at once. Clean my brush off. Clean water, okay? So you're constantly going back and forth with the water. You're probably not gonna find that your water gets too dirty doing it this way. It's probably gonna be absolutely fine. So, same sort of thing, look, 2 at once. Don't get too carried away because if your water dries, it won't travel as much. It's not as forgiving as like a watercolour paint in a tube and things like that. So you more or less, you've got to work in a couple of it at a time. And then in. See, couple at a time. And then pull it out. So that's where you're getting your highlight bit from, because the water is actually giving you the whiteness, so to speak. Okay. If you really wanted to, you could use the white pencil, the white watercolour pencil on the top here and blend the whole thing out. But that really is only there in case of emergency. I would actually stick with doing it this way if you can. See, I've got a little line there. Just want to go in and help it a little bit. Okay, but you notice I'm just dabbing it here. It's moving a little bit, but you know, we want it to blend a little bit. Okay, now the beauty of that is once it's dry, you can go over the top and add more on, or you can add some text on, or some your fine liner pen. See? Okay. So let's add a little bit more. Let's go in with oh, let me drop my pencil on. Put my pencils back in. Let's go with, I've got a slightly darker colour here. This is number 36. And I'm going to go from this top edge and put some in. Okay, now you can actually use the watercolours and just keep them without water if you want to. It doesn't mean because the watercolour you have to use it every time. And you can go in and add more depth with it and things like that. So let's do a little bit in there at the same time. Let's see. And then I'm going to come in with, let's have a look, a bit of purple. I've used the reds kind of thing, a bit of purple. And on this occasion, see, this is number 2. I'm going to add some to the bottom there. And I'm going to add some to the top. So that's traditionally what we actually already do. But then, of course, regular pencils, we'd be bringing colour down to match and blending it. With this one, I'm keeping it light and adding in a little bit, just like we would with our regular pencil. And then we'd use the Tortillon, of course, to blend it out, but we can't do that with these. Okay, so let's put my pencil back and I go back in, clean water, clean it off a little bit, okay? And then let's have a look. I'm going to pull it down. Pull it down. You see? And then a little bit of clean water. This purple, Chris, just 1 second, it was, I think, no, it wasn't 10, could have been 10. Number 2, the last one, number 2. Okay, let's go in a little bit so you can see it better. So again, clean water, don't overdo it. I'm going to pull that colour down into the space, go back in, clean my brush off and touch up all the edges. You see how they move. Same with the next one. So in we go. And again, clean brush, clean water, touch the edges. Same again. Here we go. And then clean off the edges. You see? So it sort of blends as we want it. This one, not going to worry too much. I'm going to just touch the colour in because it's quite a small space. So it's going to do its own thing there. Okay, oh, got a couple here. So pull them in. See if I lift this. You can, Vicky, I'll do that in a minute. So I'm just going to you've got to let what's there dry before you can go and do anything else. But yeah, I will actually go in and I'll add a little bit more in a little bit. Okay. Okay, so let's have a look at these. Because we're top and bottom here, you want to do similar thing, but you don't want to move it too far. You see, we've got the water in there. Clean my water off. Bring it together. Okay. So in with that one, clean it off. So I would say that until you're used to it, just do one at a time. I know that feels a little bit time consuming, but I think it's a lot better doing it that way than finding that you're filling it all too much. See? You can see the water, look, can you see it? It's still there, see, it's still drying, so it's still going to move a little bit whilst it's drying. Okay, let's do this one. I think you get used to doing it as well, so it's the more you do it, the better. I mean, I'm trying to, it's perhaps not the best ever example in the world because I'm not sort of right over the top of it, so I know a couple of little lines still, that's okay. But yeah, always keep your water clean as best as you can. I say using watercolour pencils, you don't tend to have any problems, but if you're using other things, then you know you end up with having to change your water quite a lot, because otherwise you get a dirty, sludgy kind of effect transferring over to your pictures, and we don't want that, do we? Okay, so all right. Okay, so I can go along there a little bit, but I've got to work quite quickly because if that dries, I'm going to end up with a little bit of a line. Oh, I'm glad you're finding it useful, babe. I don't mind. I think it's always important that you know how to use them. It really helps, doesn't it? And I don't like to assume knowledge that everybody knows. Okay. You see, so you've got that little highlight. So what you can do with this, I can come back in with that colour. Yeah. And if I've got a little bit of water on my brush, what I'm going to do is take some of that paint you know, work my brush round. So you see I've got some of that on there, but I've not touched the wood at all. Okay, because if you touch the wood, you're going to end up with wet wood and it starts to, no, you don't like that. It's not good. So here we go. What I can do here now is I can bring a little bit of extra colour, you know, like we do little flicks and things, into the bottom there. So I can make it really strong if I want it to be. Okay, turn it around a bit. See, I'm running out of pigment now, so just keep it on the edge. And then I can add it in again. See, so I can make it quite strong if I want it to. So again, a little bit of water. I mean, if you want to keep the texture, you know, it's kind of nice, but I'm just going to soften it a little bit on the edges. Okay, let's have a little look at that. Okay, so you see there that adding that extra one in. But if you want to, now that's dry, if you want to go back in, so let's say go back in with a bit of number 34. Maureen, I would probably use my regulars on wood more than these, purely because you put water on wood and it'll disperse, it'll spread things a little bit. So I would stick with these with paper, but you can do, I know there's a couple of you, I think Jo Thorley has used to put them on wood and she says it's been fine, but you can do. Yeah, a water brush would work if you wanted it to. I'm a little bit old school with brushes, and honestly, I like to control it with the water. I like to know how much water, and you can do that with a water brush because it's there to squeeze when you want it. But I always got this little bit of what if I squeeze too hard and get too much water. See this, look, I'm going back in, I'm just touching over that orange a little bit, so you know I've been able to add an extra colour on the top there. Okay, let's have a look at that. So we've got a bit going on. So all right, let's have a look at another colour. I'm just trying to put my pencils away as I go, so I'm not going to lose them. And I've got a bit of a pink here, so let's go back in. So let's add a little bit top and bottom. And again, like, I'm not pressing on too hard with it because I can always go in and add. And of course, I know that this is a little bit wet underneath here, so I'm going to try not to touch any of them that's wet. Okay, that was number 13. So back in with water, see a little bit either side. Could we do that one there as well? Come back in, clean water, bring them together. Same there, see, look. That's quite pale, so I can probably get away without using any extra water. So it's going to sort of fade off on its own. Okay, there it needs a little bit of a hand, see? You can just sort of work that in a little bit there. So watercolours do tend to be a little more subtle than using the regular pencils, but you can actually strengthen them up as you've seen. And we'll press on a little bit more with the bubbles in a minute. See, this one's not too bad because it's a little bit paler. I don't need that extra bit of water. Okay, into there. And into that there. Okay, so we've got that kind of thing going. I mean, we can try it if you want. You might find that the graphite will... Here we go. Let's use a bit there. And there. If you put the water over the top, it'll they will mix sort of together a little bit. So here we go. So soften that off. same as we usually would do. Okay, so then let's bring in, I've used that kind of a grey. Let's bring in, I don't know, one of my blues. What have I got here? Number 18, it's like the sea blue. And we go over the top. So you see already, you're sort of getting it. You can still see the graphite underneath. So I can afford to be a little stronger there. Work it my way around. Okay, probably a bit in there as well, honestly. And then again, back in with water. Not too much. You see your colour will pull out a little bit, but it's not wanting to really go much. It's sort of staying within the graphite, if you see what I mean. I don't even know if I put much on there at all. Yeah, so it is going to move your graphite with it as well. So if you want a more muted effect, yes. But I would probably use them on their own. What you can do is you can come in with graphite afterwards. So let's have a look. For example, has that dried? Yeah. I can come in here, look, and add a little bit in. Let's just do the bottom edges. Okay, so that's not going to affect the underneath. And then soften it off. You see the graphite's moving, but the colour underneath isn't. Okay. So that gives you that kind of effect. So I'm going to use a blue again. Let's go a little bit darker. So I'm going to fill some of that in. Okay. Let's do a few of those. So this one's number 20. It's kind of getting into the blues now, so sort of more towards, it's like a cobalt, isn't it? Okay, let's bring in a little bit of green as well here, I think. We've used most colours. A bit of green on some of those as well. So, you know, we can mix as we're going. So I've coloured a little bit more in on these. Don't worry too much about the little ones. That one, look, is number 4. But you can use any, honestly, just have a play with them. My first advice would be to do a swatch test so you know what you're working to. So here we go. Now the idea is I'm not going to put much water on at all, but I'm going to try and leave a little bit of the tile underneath. And I'm not going to come in and use the water to help me with that. So it's almost sort of filled, and you know, sometimes you'll find that that's something you've got to do. You see, it's helping blend them together. I'm working it that way. Now, of course, if you wanted to, you could still come in and do it really wet. So let's have a look. So if you wanted, for example, let's have a look. Let's use, let's go out a little bit. Okay, so you see you've got quite a few different techniques in there. But let's use a bit of, let's have a look, got number 25 here. So I think first things first, let's put some water on there. Okay, let's put some water on there. Now I'm going to put more than I have been doing. Let's see if you can see it. No, you're not quite getting it, but there's more on, okay? It's more on, my tile's starting to move a little bit. So then if I come on in and add some onto my brush, I can still go in and create little watercolour kind of effects. I could still add a little bit of salt onto this as well. But you notice once I've got water on my tile, there's no way I'm going to go back on. Let's use a little bit of that number 2 and use my pencil directly onto water. a wet piece of the tile. We don't want to be doing that. Okay, so you can see you can still do that kind of a thing. As we go. And let's do a little bit of that up here as well. So again, with plenty of water there. So that's your difference. If you're wanting to do backgrounds and things, it's more about more water, and go in with this bit. See, there's not much water there, look, but there is there, see? See the difference? It's okay, let's get this one going off, and I can come back in, see, and add a little bit of water there. I say I could actually come in and add some salt. Vicky, this is, yeah, if you were going to use a regular printer paper, I wouldn't suggest it at all because you're not going to get very far. But this is one of my tiles, so you can do it on those. That's absolutely fine. You can do it on any of the cartridge paper that I use, because I do. And of course, if you really want to go for it, watercolour paper. Although, watercolour paper, you find that your pen might not be as sort of smooth on there, because it watercolour paper, by its very definition, has got a bit of texture to it. So, okay, you see, I've just bended it back once it's drying. So that gives me that kind of thing. I am going to come back in with a bit of pencil, I reckon, and I just want to make sure the bits are dry. So let's go back over a few areas, because it's nice to sort of go in and add an extra bit if you want to. And this is the nice thing, you can't really do this with the regular pencils. You can go back over with other colours. The nice thing about this is you can let's add some in here. Look, come back in and do different things. All right, Tortillon at the ready. There we go. That one. Well, let's just pull out that little bit of graphite. Not much. I don't want it to lose all the colour that is underneath there. Let's give it a little bit extra. And of course, the beauty of this, the absolute 100%, is you can go back in with your fine liner. I could have a bit of pencil there. Let's just type that in. All right. Oh, I think it definitely needs a bit of white chalk pencil down there. So I can come in, let's find a little bit that's dry. So here we go, here. And I can add in my pen over the top. Here we are. And that's one of the main reasons I actually brought watercolours out. Because now and again you might want to add some more in, and over the top of coloured pencils, really tricky, but doing it this way, you've actually got the option. You could always, if you wanted to, also add coloured pencils over the top of this, so you can mix and match them there if you want to. There's lots of options, but there we go. So it's a little bit of an instruction into, is that dry, using watercolour pencils, a few little hints and tips, but everybody to their own. Some people are going to love them more than the pencils, some people are not. Some people are going to find that they're useful for certain things, but it's all down to what you want to do with it. So I suggest have a play, try it out and see what you think. But there you go, bit of an initial down here. Is that dry? I'm going to put it in here because it might not be dry yet. There we are. All right, so a little bit of everything there, regular tile, but of course a little bit of watercolouring technique to go in and help you out. So, all right, hope you enjoy this one. Have a bit of a play, maybe try a few different patterns around here, and then, yeah, get some watercolour out and see what you can come up with. All right, have a lovely day, everybody, whatever's left of it. Take care, and I'll see you for the next tile on Friday at 2 o'clock. So take care, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.